mean, I got back into the family business right when I quit drinking. I didn't know what avenue I was going to go down. I just know I needed what I guess you could say a big boy job. It's kind of what my
structure.
Some structure, exactly.
Yeah.
I don't need to do I don't have any money. I'm going to go make 300, or I don't know. I might make 50. That bar lifestyle. I lived that. It was great, man. It traveled me all over the world. I worked for Buffett and Margaritaville. Got to live in Cayman Islands and go to Greece, and Norway, and Dubai, and fire shows. And it was a great time, man. In my early 20s, I would never change it for the world. It was great, but that comes with a certain kind of lifestyle that is very fly by the seat of your pants. And as I was starting this family and going to go down this journey of sobriety, like you said perfectly, I needed some structure. And I went into the family business because I knew that it's a great skill. This place was growing, and I stayed selling cabinets, countertops, and flooring for about 4 years. Yeah, I'd say 4 years. And, was always just peeking over that fence of real estate and seeing these guys come in that were selling it and crushing it. And finally, one day I was sick of making somebody else a lot of money. And it took me a while to be able to have cojones to step out and do that. When I got into real estate, John, I'm not lying to you. It was January 27th, 2020 is when I sold my first house. So not that long ago is when I sold my first house. I got into real estate August of 2019, but that was my first closing was that day. Oh, and in going into that closing, I had $1.87 in my checking account.
We had 2 kids in daycare.
Two kids in daycare, $1.87 in my checking account. And I had, checks coming. They were on their way from things, past stuff. But at that time, man, I took a screenshot of it because I had no clue what was going to happen, but I knew I wasn't going to fail because I've done a couple of speaking engagements about real estate. I got asked to do one like not even a year in. And they're like, I said, you want me to go speak to people about this? And they're like, well, I said, I've been in this a year. And they're like, yeah, and you're crushing it. So tell us how you did it. I'm like, well, fair enough. So my big proponent of things was, you can put your feet into cement and you can get stuck real quick. And if you leave one of these feet in cement, it's going to, if you leave it in there long enough, that cement's going to dry and you're going to get stuck carrying around a bucket full of cement. So you might as well jump in or jump out, whichever way you want to look at it, with 2 feet. And now you don't have an option. You don't have an option for failure. You don't have an option. You don't have your foot in a backup bucket, I call it. You don't have your foot in that backup bucket anymore. And there's literally one path here, ladies and gentlemen, or that's it. There's no or. There's one path, and it's success. You got to figure it out. You got to bash through. I don't know how many walls, how many brick walls, your head, like you were saying, bash your head up against a wall until you break through that damn thing and figure it out. Because you got this young lady and a little one on the way. You better nut up, baby.
Yeah. And if we had known that COVID was going to shut us down, I'm not sure you would have taken that leap. That was only a few months before the shutdown.
Yeah, oh my gosh. And you're building this momentum and then the whole world shuts down.
But it was kind of beautiful because he built this momentum a couple months into the year, and I had never taken 2 months off work. Ever. I had 2 babies at this point, and I took a week off after our child was in the NICU. I literally gave birth. A week later, he's in the NICU for a whole week. And that next Saturday, I went to work because that was the pace of life that I had to live in order to keep up at the beach. We live in a very expensive town. I don't mean to correct you, but I don't own my own salon. I own my own business inside of a salon.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, sorry, I don't mean to correct you. We owned a salon for a couple months there, but that's a whole trauma story we'll tell another.
Sure. No, thank you for the correction.
Yeah, okay, thanks. But I have owned my own business as a hairstylist I have not worked for anyone for 12 years.
Yeah, exactly. So to that end, again, that's an entrepreneur spirit. So with that, when Kris was making this decision to take the foot out of the bucket and jump in, you had been doing that game for like 8-9 years or something, right? At this point, were you like, we're just going to make this happen and I trust you? And or was it like, did you know the results and consequences more? So you were, I don't know, how were you feeling?
I had never seen someone light up like he did when he first started selling real estate. It was like, oh, he found his thing. Like, when like you watch someone like go from one thing to the next and they just are not happy with it. And they're just like, they have this dark cloud that just I go to work happy every day. I love what I do. So I've never had to do that, but I am my own boss. So I get to like, gas and brake. The second he walked into that role as a real estate agent, it was like that cloud lifted, the skies parted. And for the first time, I've literally not had to worry about him going to work.
Yeah. And
no, I mean, it's amazing. And it's cool to see somebody, go from struggling a little bit into a happy place. And
you're always an entrepreneur working for the man. That's an uncomfortable feeling.
Well, not even there, man. I mean, it all started. One of the main reasons I think I'm so successful in real estate is all those 37, almost 38 in 5 days, years ahead of where I am now was me going through this job, running beach chairs or hitting the bar or bartending, and then going into cabinet sales, flooring sales, whatever job I had. All that time, I wasn't the happiest, but I was picking up all that stuff. I was putting things on a tool belt that now when I do interact with people that are buying houses or just interacting with them in general, I can relate. I can somehow find a way to relate to them.
It's a great point, man. You've had like a lot of worldly experiences.
Right.
Like a lot.
Right. Yeah. You run into somebody that's from, North Texas that's wanting to buy a house. They're from Abilene, and they're like, this dude don't know where Abilene is. And then you start talking to him for a minute, and I'm like, I almost went to Hardin Simmons. They're like, what? and they're not buying a house from anybody else now at that point. You can find that connection with people, because all life is about, especially with sales, but I think in general, is connection, networking, connection, whatever that is. And if you can find a way to connect with people and make them feel those feels, that they make them feel that warm and fuzzy, that familiar feeling, then, it's pretty much game over at that point. And not in a manipulative way, but whenever I'm buying something or I'm trying to be interested in something, if somebody can relate to me and kind of share some of my past experiences, I'm gobbling that up. Like,